Today, we are talking about the Panasonic Lumix G9, a camera that's lighter than your average DSLR, but still heavy enough to remind you you're carrying something serious. I'm not a professional photographer, but I like to consider myself what they call a pro hobbyist, which is just a fancy way of saying I like cameras. And I spend way too much time and money on them. I enjoy taking photos and videos equally. And I've dabbled with full frame and APS-C cameras before. But then the Micro Four Thirds started calling my name. So I actually started with the Olympus EM1 Mark II, but since my main use for Micro Four Thirds would be video, I quickly realized the Olympus wasn't quite right for me. There was one other better option at a similar price. So I returned it and I picked up the Panasonic G9. I got it for about 380 euros, which honestly is a lot of camera for the money. The G9 is built like a tank, but a rather elegant one. It's weather resistant, so you don't have to panic if you get caught in a bit of rain. There's full-size HDMI port, no fiddly adapters, a massive eye cup that blocks out all the stray light, and the viewfinder is genuinely lovely. There's a joystick for moving the focus point, and a clever toggle switch that lets you jump between different focus modes in a flash. Loads of customizable buttons too, enough to make you feel like you're piloting a small aircraft. Now, the mode dial is a bit of a masterpiece. It's actually a double-decker. The top dial lets you pick your shooting modes, your regular PA, SM, custom modes, etc. And underneath, there's a lever for drive modes, burst, 6K, 4K photo, self-timer, and so on. It's intuitive and saves a lot of faffing about in the menus. There's also a top LCD screen, which I love, a tilt flip screen for awkward angles, and two UHS 2 card slots. This is where the G9 really shines. For the price, it's hard to beat. There's only one camera arguably better than the G9 at this price range, and that's the GH5. But I wanted to do a bit of wildlife. The G9 has animal-human detect autofocus, whereas the GH5 doesn't. You get 10-bit 4K video at 422 up to 30 frames per second, which I usually shoot in the Cinelike D profile with just a touch of color grading. For slow motion, you get 4K 60p at 8-bit 420. And up to 180 frames per second in 1080p with variable frame rate. Though, fair warning, there is no autofocus in that mode. It's a bit like asking your cat to fetch. It can do it, but don't count on it. There's also an option to record in open gate on the G9, which might be gimmicky, but it works. It can record in 4:3 and 3:2 aspect ratios for up to 10 minutes at 30 frames per second, and I've experimented with it and I think it looks quite nice. I'll attach the full-length video in the description below, so you can check it in all its glory. The in-body stabilization is excellent, and if you pair it with the Lumix lens which has OIS, even this cheap 12-60 Lumix lens which I bought for about 150 euros has OIS. So yeah, if you pair it with the lens that has OIS, you get dual IS with the Panasonic, which I think is super stable. There's also an option of e-stabilization for more smoothness, though you get a slight crop and bit of a jello effect, which might not be very pleasing to look at. The IS lock feature is fantastic. It feels like the camera is on a tripod. Honestly, I'm not planning to do loads of photography with this camera, but for wildlife, I think it's more than capable. The G9 can shoot up to 20 frames per second with the electronic shutter, RAW or JPEG, and up to 9 frames per second with the mechanical shutter. There's also a pre-burst mode, focus tracking, and all sorts of clever tricks. The mechanical shutter goes up to 8 thousandths of a second, and the electronic can go up to 32 thousandths of a second. So you're covered for pretty much any lighting. If you ever need to photograph a cheetah running past a lightning bolt, you're covered. This is where, in my opinion, G9 lacks the most. It's contrast detect only, so it can be a little indecisive, especially in continuous mode. For video, I prefer using manual focus and save myself the headache. But for photography, the single point AF is quite quick and accurate. And the face eye animal detect is handy for wildlife. Even if it's not the best for tracking, still for the price, you won't find many cameras, new or used, that has animal detect AF. Some kind of silver lining with the autofocus, right? Let's just say it's not G9's strongest suit. Maybe it's because mine is second-hand, but I don't get a lot of shooting time with the G9. If you're planning on getting one, carry a spare or two, or even 3 if you're feeling optimistic. So, should you get the G9? If you're just starting out and don't want to spend a fortune on gear, but you want something that can do both video and stills very well, and don't mind a bit of manual focus now and then, absolutely. For the price, I think it's a bit of a hidden gem. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and if you found this review helpful or even mildly entertaining, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more camera talk, wildlife adventures, and the occasional bad jokes. If you have any questions about the G9 or would want to share one of your own experience, drop a comment below. I love hearing from camera nerds. Until next time, happy shooting, and may your batteries always be charged. That's bad for anyone.